Singapore for 3M, Dr. Shwomo Mitra, the APAC Regional Head, Crop Protection Discovery and Development, Corteva Agriscience, the U.S. Mission to ASEAN team, distinguished participants from ASEAN COSTI, and representative from all ASEAN countries, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the first webinar as part of the 2021 US-ASEAN Innovation Series. We are excited to be holding the first collaborative program with ASEAN Committee on Science, Technology, and Innovation, and pleased to be hosting this event with the support and participation of the Cambodian Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology, and Innovation and the ASEAN Secretariat. Innovation and technological disruption, innovation and technological disruption are integral to almost all industry verticals, and this is certainly the case in ASEAN. In ASEAN, SMEs and startups play a crucial role in the innovative narrative. COVID-19 has reinforced the importance of doubling down on research and development and funding innovation to enable transition into new ways of work and life. Prioritizing innovation today is the key to unlocking post-crisis growth. Singapore, as the regional innovation and business hub, offers a favorable environment for digitization, successfully managing business continuity to drive digital growth and providing interconnection solutions to accelerate innovation. KPMG Survey 2021 also reports Singapore as the leading tech innovation hub among other countries in the Asia-Pacific region and anticipates a boom for APAC in the tech industry post-pandemic. The World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, released its Global Innovation Index in October of 2020, which presents the latest global innovation trends in the annual innovation ranking of 131 economies. Although the US remains in the top 3, it is not surprising that the geography of innovation is continuing to shift towards Asia. Over the years, Singapore is the #1 Asian country in the top 8 and ranks as the economy with the most significant progress in their GII innovation ranking over time. Now, why is Singapore seen as an innovation hub in the region? There are many reasons, including reliable, fast, and affordable digital connectivity, collaborative problem solving, intellectual property protection, interconnected infrastructure, and global partnerships. And perhaps most important of all, an open, collaborative regulatory regime that fosters public-private cooperation on setting the rules of the road for innovative tech. Through this forum, we would like to share more on how Singapore develops its innovation hub in the region based on private sector perspectives. Furthermore, we will also hear the opportunities and challenges from other ASEAN countries such as Cambodia in their own journey towards developing innovation. Finally, I would like to take a moment to recognize the supporting companies of today's event, 3M and Corteva Agriscience. You will hear today from Mr. Chung Tek Tan, the R&D operations leader for Singapore in 3M, on their innovation philosophy, and from Dr. Shwomo Mitra, the APAC Regional Head, Crop Protection Discovery and Development, Corteva Agriscience, on innovating for a sustainable future in the agriculture sector. Within each of our subsequent innovation series events throughout this year and into next year, governments will hear from different US-ABC members on cutting-edge innovations and what they have to offer within the innovation ecosystem across ASEAN. I hope that today's event leaves you with some valuable takeaways on how we can work to promote and support the development of innovation hubs in the ASEAN region. And with that, I would like to invite the COSTI Chair, His Excellency Professor Sirirudh Songsivalai, to provide his keynote remarks. Professor Songsivalai, over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ambassador Michael Mikala, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning again. As a chairman of ASEAN Committee on Science and Technology and Innovation, COSTI, I would like to thank the US-ASEAN Business Council, US-ABC, for the opportunity to give an opening remarks for the 2021 US-ASEAN Innovation Series and virtual visit to innovation centers and labs. As we all know, science, technology, and innovation, STI, has become part of our life. Science leads us to a new discovery. Emerging technologies change our quality of living. Innovation brings us industries, new trades, together with new challenges, which has impact to people around the world, including the ASEAN. Although we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, this outbreak will one day under control. The pandemic discovery is now one of the key agendas and the challenges for discussions in many events. In my view, COVID-19 is a challenge, but is also an opportunity. We are learning how to handle this in the next steps. In order to achieve this, we need to realize that more collaboration among us. And most importantly, we must realize that the STI is the components that will give us solutions, both social and economic dimensions. The ASEAN needs new direction to recover and transform for a better future. In order to achieve this, we seek for more collaborations with dialogue partners who share our needs and ready to work with us towards our common goals. The collaborations include human capacity building, research, development, and innovation, and especially technologies, and I must focus appropriate technologies that are ready to be applied and be transferred. Regarding this innovation series we are holding today, it is a good start for COSTI to initiate collaboration with the US-ABC on innovation agenda. We are looking forward to the US-ABC that will be our partners in implementing the ASEAN innovation roadmaps, aiming to promote innovation in the regions and to enhance cross-cutting collaboration among us. The roadmap is implemented through 4 significant themes, which are policy, enterprise workforce readiness, STI solution for SDGs, and IPR ecosystems. I'm very excited to learn, to know that some of our 4 themes match well with the US-ABC key focuses. Finally, I'm confident that this event will be a significant platform where the ASEAN member states share, exchange, and discuss best practices with successful companies and members of the US-ABC. I'm sure that we can come up with new project collaborations that benefit ASEAN moving forward, inclusive and sustainable growth. I wish you all success in this event. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mahalak and His Excellency Professor Song Sivilay, for your remarks. Now, for our first session, I would like to welcome our first speaker from 3M, Mr. Cheng Tan, the R&D Operations Leader of 3M in Singapore. Cheng Tech has been with 3M since 1993 and has over 27 years of technical leadership experience from various divisions and corporate functions. His previous assignments include Technical Manager in Safety and Security Division, Technical Manager in Commercial Graphic Divisions covering Asia-Pacific region. Cheng Tech holds a Master of Science in Safety, Health, and Environmental Technology from the National University of Singapore and a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Texas. Mr. Cheng Tan, the screen is yours.
Well, thank you. Can I have this slide, please? Good morning. My name is Tan Cheng Tan, Singapore R&D Operations Leader from 3M. And thank you for this opportunity to share with the distinguished guests and audiences on how 3M innovating for a sustainable future. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Can we advance the slide, please? Thank you. Is anyone can help to advance the slide to a second slide? Okay, well, thanks. Okay, first I'd like to provide a brief introduction on what we do as an enterprise. Okay, next slide, please. 3M is a science-based company, and we use science to improve lives. It is our vision to advance every company, enhance every home, and improve every life. You may not always see our technology, but you are never far away from the impact it is making in day-to-day life. Our impact spans across markets, and today, you are never more than 3 meters or 10 feet away from 3M technology working to improve your life. For example, our adhesives are inside your smartphone, virtually eliminating the need for screws and make it stronger, lighter, and more durable. We engineer our adhesives to be strong enough to hold planes, cars, and buildings in one piece. At the same time, we engineer them to be gentle enough for human skin, as you will find in our medical tapes and dressings. And of course, our adhesives are found in the 3M products you are most familiar with, like Post-it notes, Scotch magic tape, and command strips. Everything we create is shaped by a culture of using science to solve the world's problem and create more sustainable future at the same time. Let's look at how our global capability. Next slide, please. This is our global capability in 2021. As a company, we are everywhere in the world in terms of our sales and also our physical operations. In fact, the majority of our sales and workforce are international, meaning outside the United States. We have customers in every corner of the world, and we want to be as close to them as possible, whether it is our laboratories, our plants, distribution centers, sales teams, and so on. It allows us to serve customers whenever they are with efficiency and agility. Okay, next slide, please. A little bit about 3M Singapore Innovation Hub. Founded in 1966, 3M Singapore had just celebrated 55 years of improving life in Singapore last month in August. We have grown from our humble beginnings with only 8 employees in 1966 to a company with more than 1,600 employees and established local capability to serve the needs of local, regional, and global customers today. Our operations here are expanded into R&D, business, manufacturing, and supply chain to support the success of our customer. Next slide, please. Next, let's look at how we make this work. Next slide, please. The 3M innovation model. The 3M innovation model combines market and customer insights with deep 3M technology expertise and a collaborative culture to create products that improve lives. Let us take a closer look at each of these important elements. Next slide, please. The 3M periodic table of technology platforms is an important component of bringing the value of 3M brand to life. Our 51 technology platforms are shared and combined across businesses and areas to invent unique and creative ways to solve customers' problems. It shows the breadth of 3M technology, which sets 3M apart from other companies. Next slide, please. How do we harness insight and collaborate with customers in a meaningful innovation, solving their real problems? To get there, we believe it's essential to be close to our customers. That's why 3M has 56 customer technical centers across the globe, where our customer can experience firsthand the breadth of 3M technologies and how they can benefit from them. We also have laboratories and application engineering capabilities in 51 countries, where our scientists work closely with our customers to develop solutions. Next slide, please. We at 3M have a unique opportunity to apply our passion for science and collaborate enterprise-wide to find solutions. Our 15% culture, going strong for over 6 decades, inspires creativity, risk-taking, and collaboration. It gives employees the freedom to take the risks and learn from mistakes. That freedom is essential to scientific discovery. Employees can spend 15% of their time on projects that interest them. These projects and ideas might eventually become successful 3M products, such as shown in the picture here, the car window films, which enhance comfort, security, and privacy in your vehicles. Next slide, please. Another unique collaborative culture in 3M is our technical forum, a 10,000-member grassroots organization of our global scientists and engineers. The forum serves as a platform for freely sharing market needs, ideas, technologies, and challenges faced by our scientists and customers across the company. The boundaryless collaboration and building on each other's ideas help 3M make unique connections between the market needs and our technologies to transfer technology from one market area to another in a seamless manner. For example, at one of the 3M Technical Forum events, a scientist from the healthcare area was sharing his technology to precisely mix different components for tooth restoration. This led to a new invention for a scientist in the automotive aftermarket area who was trying to mix a high viscosity filler materials to repair dents in a car. Next slide, please. As society's challenges continue to evolve, so does the focus of our science. From inventing the world's first water-resistant coated abrasive in 1921 to helping advance automotive electrification today, we are relentlessly innovating and adapting our technologies to help solve the problems of today and tomorrow. We are committed to creating a more sustainable future. 3M has a strong foundation in sustainability. We know that we have the ability and the responsibility to do even more. So going forward, we are focused on 3 priority areas where we can make an even greater impact on the world. The first, science for circular, designing solutions that do more with less materials, accelerating a global circular economy. For example, on December 5th, 2018, at the UN Climate Conference, we announced 3M Sustainability Value Commitment. This required that all new products entering 3M new product commercialization process demonstrate how they drive impact for a greater good. Second, science for climate. Innovate to decarbonize industry, accelerate climate solutions, and reduce our own environmental footprint. For example, we are committed to renewable energy. Our global headquarters are powered by 100% renewable energy today, and we aim to have 50% of our global operations powered by renewable energy by 2025. Third one, science for community. Create a more positive world through science and inspire people to join us. For example, we help spread science by supporting STEM education through a variety of programs. Next slide, please. How 3M Singapore as an innovation hub create impact to a local community. Here are some of the examples of impactful projects that 3M Singapore has developed locally. For example, on the left-hand side, Science for Circular, we use 3M VHP tapes to bond more than 9,000 glass panels on a dome-shaped Changi Jewel building. These high-strength acrylic foam tapes create a long-lasting bond that build strength over time while eliminating the need for rivets, screws, bolts, and welds, the conventional fastening method. Another example in the middle is the rooftop solar farm installed on a Tuas plant in Singapore, which can generate 2,400 megawatt hours of renewable electricity, hence reducing carbon footprint in Singapore operations. And on the community front, since 2007, 3M Science outreach programs have impacted more than 7,000 students on science-based innovation talks and help spread science by supporting 3M education, STEM education through a variety of programs like science camps. We collaborate with Singapore Science Center to promote science outreach program where we participate or partner with schools to run interesting science experiments with young students and so on. So we move into the remaining 2021, we will continue to innovate for more sustainable future, and this will remain the core focus for our enterprise. So lastly, I would like to share a short video to provide you with a sneak preview of 3M Singapore Technical Center, which will be on our schedule for a virtual tour in October next month. I would like to extend my invitation to all of you to attend the virtual 3M Customer Technical Center tour on the 14th of October. So now I will share my screen and play the video. I hope you can see the screen. Very sorry for the slight lag on the video. Thank you. I hope the information I share with you is meaningful to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cheng Tek Tan for your presentation. For our second speaker, I would like to welcome Dr. Shumo Mitra, the Asia-Pacific Regional Head Crop Protection, Discovery, and Development of Corteva AgriScience. Dr. Mitra's research expertise include environmental sciences and technology, water conservation, soil chemistry, soil fertility and fertilizers, pesticides for agriculture and non-agriculture businesses, and biological control agents. He was previously the Asia-Pacific Head of Regulatory and Development Head Crop Protection Development, Asia Group Cluster of ADAMA, Head of Marketing and R&D in Syngenta, and was a professor from California State University. Dr. Mitra has a doctorate degree in environmental soil chemistry and herbicide physiology and a master's degree in weed science from University of Massachusetts. He received the Outstanding Young Scientist Award at the 217th American Chemical Society National Meeting in 1999. I am pleased to call on Dr. Shumo Mitra.
Thank you so much, Norika. It's a pleasure to share some of the innovations and our from Corteva, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of our technologies that we do and why we use ASEAN as an innovation hub. So, distinguished guests, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our innovation for sustainable future. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So let's move on to the next slide. Thank you for the introduction. So what I'm going to talk about is introduce you all to Corteva for a little bit, and then we'll talk about our R&D capabilities across Asia Pacific, our R&D sites and capability in APAC, and then we'll probably talk a little bit about Singapore as a formulation hub for us, our sustainable innovations and their benefits, a regulatory framework that encourages investment and adoption of innovations. I'll share some case studies from Singapore, US, and Brazil, and then summarize it. Next slide, please. So about Corteva AgriSciences. Next slide, please. We are one of the world's largest agrochemical manufacturers, and a lot of you might know DuPont and Dow, and we merged to form Corteva a few years ago. And the challenges that we take are addressing increasing pressures on farmers, feeding a growing population, food security, and the impact of climate change. Next slide, please. So if you look at it, what are our goals? Our goals are to provide a healthy food supply, knowing the food story, where it comes from the farm to the table, reduce food wastage, provide cleaner labels for consumers, as well as having an environmental sustainably agriculture support. That next. So if you look at our sustainability goals, we do have very strong sustainability goals, and I won't go through the details, but they are in these 4 buckets. In it for farmers, so we are providing training for 25 million farmers. We want to then enrich the lives of 500 million smallholder farmers, which is extremely important in Asia Pacific. And we want to decrease greenhouse gas emissions while increasing yield for farmers. In it for the land, we want to improve soil health for 30 million hectares, advance water stewardship, enhance biodiversity in 10 million hectares. If you look at the community, we want to keep the community safe. We want to Sorry, this slide. We want to empower women and enable youth. And as a company, we all volunteer for these activities, and we volunteer 1 million hours that is volunteered. If you look at for operations, we require sustainable criteria for all our new products. Sustainability is embedded in our R&D process. We look at sustainable packaging and increase our sites for sustainable efforts. Next slide, please. So let's talk about our R&D capabilities and innovations. Next slide, please. So if you look at it, these are our 4 innovation hubs for formulation development. We do have lots of R&D centers around the world, but today I'm going to focus on the formulation hub or the innovation hub that we have in Singapore. So as you can see, these hubs are in the major markets for the world, and the Singapore hub caters to the 500 million farmers, smallholder farmers that we have in APAC. Next slide, please. So what do we do in this formulation hub? Here we design, develop, and launch competitive and innovative, regionally relevant products on time for customers and provide support to produce them successfully and safely. As you know, rice is one of the major crops for Asia. So we do focus a lot of our technologies to develop products for rice. Next slide, please. So what does this lab do? And I'm going to go back and refer to what Ambassador Michael mentioned, why we use Singapore as a hub. Because of all the things that he mentioned, we decided to put an innovation hub in Singapore. In this hub, we design formulations which are used by our farmers in this region. These products can be used by traditional backpack or with drones. As you know, drone technology is developing fast in China and all across ASEAN. We develop innovative packaging and designs which are convenient to be used by smallholder farmers in APAC. We do have experts here. We look at product experts. We look at any kind of issues with products or problem solving any issues relating to formulation and products. We have an analytical lab, so we look at development and sharing analytical methods with our production facilities across the region. And we do coordinate product safety studies here because these are part of the regulatory dossier that needs to be submitted. Next slide, please. So I'm going to, I think we skipped a slide. There's a slide before this, please. So I wanted to share some of the innovations which have been done and have been created at this lab and have helped farmers across APAC. So Hibifen, which is an insecticide used to control brown plant hopper and stem borer in rice, which are very important pests for rice. It has two active ingredients, pyraxol and spinetoram or gemvelva. It's a sustainable low use rate formulation with a favorable environmental and toxicological profile. It provides superior control for rice hoppers and rice leaf folders. It can be applied by a backpack or through a drone. And we received the winner of the Best Formulation Award last year from Crop Science Forum Awards for this particular formulation, which was completely developed in Singapore. Next slide, please. The next slide talks about another formulation which was developed in the lab. And this is a new class of formulation called a Neo-EC. So EC stands for emulsifiable concentrate. And emulsifiable concentrates sometimes are not the ideal products to be used in different methods because of the oil-based or petroleum products in there. So this lab developed a Neo-EC which does not contain petroleum distillates or less than 10% of it, does not have any odor, has an improved toxicological profile, and minimizes any negative perceptions that an EC has. And this product or the technology which was developed is used in a product called Rinscore, which is an excellent herbicide that has been introduced for rice farmers in the region. It is now being registered in different parts of ASEAN and already is being commercialized in different parts of APAC. Next one, please. So I want to now focus a little bit on what Corteva is looking at from a sustainable perspective. And as we develop new products, we are focusing on reduced risk products and green chemistries. And the reduced risk products produce that are being manufactured and sold to customers are preferred products because it reduces the environmental load. It is beneficial to a lot of organisms which are out there, and we look at it from an environmental perspective. So I want to just share a little bit of this. There's also a Green Chemistry Challenge Award initiated by the US Environmental Protection Agency. And I just wanted to share a few products. As you can see, over the last 20 years, Corteva has 6 or 7 of these products which won the Green Chemistry Challenge Awards. And on the left, you can see products like Colcova, Gemvelva, Rinskor, Reclamel. These are products which have won the Green Chemistry Award. Gemvelva and Colcova is a product of fermentation. They are not synthetic chemistries. They can be used for certified organic production. So they're USDA organic, they're OMRI certified. So these products actually can be used by organic farmers. The next slide, please. So why are we working on these products? The reason we are working on these products is because they have a favorable tox profile. They have low environmental toxicity and they rapidly degrade. They have a short PHI or pre-harvest interval, which means that when a farmer sprays it, there's minimum time needed before they can go and harvest the crop. They're broad spectrum at very low rates. And from a farmer's perspective, they can use reduced or minimum amount of personal protective equipment. They are part of an integrated pest management program. They're very short re-entry intervals, and they're part of integrated resistance management strategies. Next slide, please. Now, I want to share a little bit of the case studies regarding using these frameworks which have been developed in other countries. If we could embrace them in ASEAN, it'll help us in introducing these products and adoption of these for our farmers. Next slide, please. So let's talk about Singapore. Why did we put an innovation hub in Singapore? In Singapore, we have advanced technology and digital infrastructure. We do have a robust IP protection. We've got access to highly trained talent across APAC, and not only APAC, from all over the world. Progressively regulatory frameworks. We've got a strong government support for R&D-based companies, and this is where our relationship with EDB is critical. The tax benefits as well as other benefits that the government provides us to put an innovation hub is really critical. And this innovation hub supports not only ASEAN, but the rest of APAC. Next slide, please. So I want to share a case study from the US. The US started to review the reduced risk products in a reduced risk program. And what it does is it reduces the timeline and the cost for review for a regulatory decision making. As you know, we are regulated heavily by regulatory bodies all across the world. And it takes us roughly close to $300 million and 10 years to develop a product. So it's an expensive process to put a new product. By using this process of reduced risk, we can look at new active uses that can be used. Compared to a conventional standard pesticide in the US, we have to spend around $800,000 to register a product. If we use that with a reduced risk, we can reduce it by close to more than $100,000. And the timeline is much less compared to if you go through a traditional process. So you can see if it takes 36 months for a full regulatory evaluation, with a reduced risk, you can do it in 24 months. Essentially, you can save a year and over $100,000 in registering a product. Next slide, please. Now I'll share a case study from Brazil. And in Brazil, the three regulatory agencies in Brazil are MAPA for agriculture, NVINSA, which looks for health, and IBAMA for environment. All the three agencies have come together to form an association where they say Article 12, Decree 4074. Because of this resolution, which was passed in July 29, 2019, you can get a favorable process to register low toxicity and hazardous products. Will have the evaluation prioritized by the three agencies. And we were fortunate to get registration of Rinskor. Our herbicide was granted prioritized registration in Brazil due to its excellent toxicity and ecotox profile. One of our fungicides, Zorvec, oxythiopropylene, was granted prioritization by NVINSA from the health agency. Next slide, please. Now, why are we talking about these fast-track regulatory approaches across ASEAN? As you know, the regulatory process in ASEAN is quite diverse, being very long in some countries like Thailand, at least 3 to 5 years in different countries. So it's a long regulatory process when we look at other countries around the world. So we wanted to share some of our learnings from other parts of the world where a fast-track regulatory approach will help the farmers adopt new technology, newer, safer chemistries that they could use. If we look at from farmers, what is the benefit for farmers? They can get full tolerance exemption, especially for import tolerance if they are exporting the products. It eliminates the need for maximum permissible levels or MRL levels that they need to establish, reduce concern or residue of the crops. They need minimum personal protective equipment, very short or no entry, re-entry interval. Also, it broadens for adoption of integrated pest management practices. If you look at the government agencies, it's an expedited decision process, expedited establishment of codex limits, joint reviews and mutual recognition across ASEAN countries will help get the process faster, provide access to newer and safer technologies for the farmers, and of course, reduce risk to human health. If we look from an environmental and community perspective, we are registering products which are favorable from a toxicological profile, reducing the total load of actives and solvents, low environmental toxicity and rapid degradation in the environment, reduce the potential of contamination of surface water and groundwater resources, and reduce the risk to non-target organisms. So it's more win-win for everyone. Let's move to the next slide, please. So just to summarize it, an R&D-based agriculture company like Corteva, we are innovating new molecules to meet global demands and environmental challenges. These products have reduced risk to human health and have a favorable environmental profile. These products have several benefits which will make farming more sustainable. A conducive policy environment would enable more investments in these innovations. Fast tracking of registration of these products will lead to faster access to farmers in ASEAN countries, especially. Quicker adoption of these technologies by the farmers will benefit them and the environment. So this was a sharing exercise for us from our other experiences around the world with the ASEAN leaders here. And we hope we can adopt these regulatory principles in ASEAN as we register this reduced risk and green chemistries across ASEAN countries. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share our experiences.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shumo, for the presentation. We are now moving to our online polls. We have prepared a couple of questions for the audience to answer. So for the question number 1, what is the most important aspect in supporting the development of innovation hubs in the region? And the second one, what is the most fundamental impact of innovation for society and business? And the last question, what is the most challenging aspect in developing innovation hubs in the region? So for our first question, majority answered regulation and technology. And for the second question, what is the most fundamental impact of innovation for society and business? Most of our audience answered economic growth. And for the last question, what is the most challenging aspect in developing innovation hubs in the region? Majority answered policy and regulation. So thank you very much for answering our survey questions. Let's now move on to our panel session. I would like to welcome Dr. Hul Seng Heng. Dr. Hul is currently the Director General of the General Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation of Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology, and Innovation, and the Cambodia COSTI Chair. He has experience in policy development and implementation for more than 10 years, particularly in science, technology, and innovation sectors. Dr. Hul has a doctoral degree in environmental engineering from University of the Philippines, Diliman, and Shizuoka University, Japan. He has over 14 years of experience in engineering field and research. Dr. Hul, the screen is yours.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Norika. Should I share the screen or? Okay, I share the screen. Okay, you share the screen. Okay, first okay. Should I start, Norika? Hello?
Yes, we're seeing the screen, Dr. Hul.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. First, good morning, His Excellency, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and all participants for this first webinar on innovation, on developing innovation hub in ASEAN best practices from Singapore. I myself first. I love the theme of the webinar for the region. I am more than happy to participate and contribute in this webinar. And as my background, I think some of ASEAN colleagues may know I was a fellow of US-ASEAN on Science, Technology, and Innovation Policy in 2015. And then I love, from that time, I love science technology. So I moved from academic sector to policy development, specifically now at the Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology. So our aim is to use science, technology, and innovation to support industry, SME, as well as other sector which is relevant to manufacturing in Cambodia. I think I saw allow me to connect a little bit to what the answer. I think theoretically, to the answer, the two questions formally, I think what drive innovation, I think behind the regulatory framework, behind the ecosystem, I think market and trading would be one of the pillar to drive innovation, as well as fighting from talent and fighting from whatever our respondent has shared. Okay, please allow me to go to next slide. Okay, here are the concepts that I will share to all participants, a bit different from the case study of specific innovation drive by 3M or Cortiva. I think with your respect, development and innovation of your company, I think it's behind this development of the company is this one. Is the national innovation system. For instance, why Professor Mitra choose Singapore is a zone, is a center for innovation hub in the company. Is this innovation system drive behind the I urge and I encourage all of the nation as well, including in Cambodia now we are on the move on this one on developing innovation system national innovations, ensuring what is the demand to be done and what is the supply needed to do in ecosystem as well. Like for instance, Professor Mitra have list some criteria why you choose Singapore as a zone. I think ASEAN region may do in similar way, like for instance, demand side in business sector, in educational sector, and what is the policy framework to ensure a proper innovation system. Like you may see here, a large company like Cote d'Ivoire or 3M, you do need a talent, you do need infrastructure, you do need intellectual property support, you do need innovation support, you do need a proper standard and norm there. And these are what the government policy have to do in place to support what is the initiative or what to attract high cooperation or high standard cooperation to be in. So government must be playing role there. That's what Misty is doing. I think I believe Singapore has been a pioneer in this part. For that reason, I hope we will learn more from what is the best practice in innovation hub from Singapore and research from the right hand side you see here, research technology, like Professor Mitra, I like your slide on advanced technology. And advanced technology is one of ecosystem to drive to have a hub in there. And aside from that, we see education and research system. Education research system, you produce knowledge, advanced technology, as well as talents. So these are what a nation or AMS may urge to, may produce more talent, may produce more advanced technology in order to drive a particular innovation hub of product, for instance, agricultural product of what Cote d'Ivoire is doing, for instance. And AMS may look for a particular strategic product or strategic sector which you can drive innovation hub in a particular business ecosystem in your respective country. So in sum up this national innovation system, I want to conclude that these are behind what we will have innovation hub in a particular field in the country and in the region as well. Please go to next slide. Here's Cambodia. What we are doing is, honest speaking, we are in infant stage of what science technology on the move to support manufacturing sector in the country. But we are learning, and we believe what you are doing, like for example 3M, we have what you're doing is in our priority as well, like for instance technology, educational technology, health tech, and agricultural tech. What Dr. Mitra is presenting is in our agenda as well from now until 2030 as a higher middle income country and high income country by 2050. So our idea is to build we have create 5 pillars in our STI ecosystem to support manufacturing sector or to support the transformation of manufacturing sector in the country. One is governance and education to produce high technology and talent. And the third pillar is research. We create knowledge, and that knowledge will supply to high class corporation or company to attract investment as well. The fourth pillar, collaboration, and the last one, building ecosystem to build a proper national innovation system, ensuring a growth of a particular strategic sector for the country. So I would like to go brief on this, and we have a book to have a clearer path for us to reach 2030 in this particular pillar of the 5 of each one. Okay, please move to the next slide. I won't talk much on that. I would expect a more interactive session later, and especially from what other participant or speaker have advancing what we have been doing in Innovation Hub. Aside from what we are doing in in ASEAN framework, COSI framework. I think Cambodia have been are doing on technology management hub study as well. For that reason, we are preparing concept note or the job already. One is to drive improvement and collaboration in ASEAN diverse industry, connecting technology, people, industry. Because if you think as a whole, innovation hub in the region, it may be hard. Singapore, for instance, has been pioneer in some sector, but in other sector, I think maybe other AMS have their strength in the sector as well. You may define what are the strategic or what are the product and what are the agenda champion factors that you may drive as innovation hub for the region. So building a connection between people and industry is very important. When I say people here, it can be institution, it can be in government, and how to align what is the supply side from government as well as education sector to industry. These are very important. And what we are doing is building a network to access technology for academia or industry purposes. So it's not that easy for emerging economy for science and technology like in Cambodia. But I believe for some strength in sector, for example, agricultural sectors, we may be on the move and have some existing forces on this. The fourth one is building focal point on technology startup community. I think this one for ASEAN region, you may go specifically to your champion sector. And last one is providing the right technology and right people to bridge fast changing demand. Technology as well as demand is changing so fast. For that reason, we have to keep an eye. This technology management hub have to keep supporting both supply and demand side in the region. I think without further ado, on what's my side sharing on technology management hub, national innovation system to ensure that our AMS or the region can have a particular technology, particular champion sector as a hub, global hub in a champion sector is very important. And a respective AMS may look in detail on your strength there. I would like to end my talk here. Thank you very much. Over to you, MC.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hole. I want to remind everyone, if you have questions, please post your question on the Q&A box below. We will answer them after our last panel. For our last speaker, but definitely not the least, I would like to welcome Ms. Nilobon Jundasuri, Innovation Promoter from the National Innovation Agency of Thailand. Ms. Jundasuri, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Norika. Okay, can I share my screen? Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Nirubon Jindasuri, an innovation promoter from NIA, or the National Innovation Agency, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, Kingdom of Thailand. I would like to thank you for inviting me to join this session. Today, I'm going to talking about the innovation district development in Thailand. If we talking about the innovation, everyone will be imagining about the same thing. It will be maybe something more better, more clever, and a great solution, right? And the innovation is the key to develop the global economy, which is support, accelerate the country growth. NIA focus on promoting the development of innovation district to create an ecosystem suitable for creating innovative businesses and responding to new lifestyle. Support the growth of innovation, young entrepreneur and startup to be grouping into the cluster, become an employment and generating enormous income in our country. Innovators and the new generator will be a key force in driving the economy through the innovation and truly bringing Thailand into the government prospect. So about the innovation district will be an area for the testing new businesses, where is the source of support for various innovative businesses in the future of Thailand, such as medicine, automobile, real estate, lifestyle, or anything. Through by using an economic area within the city that's already for the infrastructure, the state has already invested and through uniqueness in the term of way of life, innovative business development, and knowledge from all sectors to inspire innovators to produce and use innovation to increase business value and life quality. So innovation district will connect the economy to grow from the district level to the country. And now currently in Thailand, we have 12 innovation district in the 6 regions that you can see on the map. And in the future, this innovation district will be developed into the innovative corridor that are continuously line up into the all province, connect by the province. Just like in the map is Chiang Mai to Khon Kaen and to Korat, to Chonburi, to Bangkok, and to Songkhla. In the future, will be connect via a line of innovation we call innovation corridor. Okay, this will contribute the economic development in each area according their potential. This is an example of an innovation district in the capital city, our Bangkok. Currently, there are 8 districts based on the potential of this area, such as Yoti Medical Center, because that area have a many hospital by private sector and public sector. And next, Kuala Nam Thai Innovation District, or we call Cybertech District. And next is the Ari District. This district is about the innovation district, about AI, immersive, robotic. So now we are developing to the ARI district, so we call ARI Innovation District. Next, about the element of innovation ecosystem, NIA driving the system, the upcoming business in the different area will apply the same principle by element of innovation economy, such as a public sector, private sector, entrepreneur, or academy and financial. NIA will be connect them to each other for contacting and making a new business or making a new connection, for making a dot to connect a corridor that I tell you on the last slide. Okay. This one is an example of Bangkok Cybertech District. You can see in the Bangkok Cybertech District, the private sector in the area is very cooperative to develop the area to be a wearable and become a truly cybertech district, and can be developed to be a tech corridor, promote technology collaborative activities in this area. This one will show how to private sector connect the dot by the cybertech district. Next one, this is Ari Innovation District. Ari Innovation District is a development center that's focused on the development of in-depth about the technology and the field of AI tech, including the artificial intelligence that we call AI, and development of the robotic and the tech, virtual reality technology, or we call immersive. And the last one is the internet connection or the data transmission, or we call IoTs. is another innovation district driven by the private sector that recognize in the importance of the innovation, which is a good trend to Thailand innovation system in the future. The last one, to summarize, there are four support tools for become a community in an innovation district. Firstly, is about the grid and vision. We have to looking for what is the strongest point of the district. We have to put it and make it blow, just like a UT have many hospital by private sector and public sector. We made that district be a medical center in the situation of COVID-19. About the UT medical innovation district will be support in the crisis is very good. So, and the second one is, sorry. And the second one is the activity about the activity in the district. We have to make people just like an entrepreneur or startup or private sector and public sector to join us to make a connection. And going to the third point is the communication. And the fourth one is the Innovation City Index that NIA tried to make a standard about the innovation district for improve the district will be better in the future. So today, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jundasiri, for the presentation. And now for the open forum, I am pleased to welcome again Ambassador Michael Mahala to moderate the discussion, and the speakers, Mr. Tan, Dr. Mitra, Dr. Hul, and Ms. Jundasiri to join the ambassador. Ambassador Mike, I think you are on mute.
I was. I do that once a meeting. I have to be told to get off mute. And I guess you did it for me this time. Thank you so much, Norika. And thank you very much. Wow, has this been a dynamic day? Oh my goodness. We have had some very exciting speakers here. I mean, talking about some very exciting ideas. Dr. Sivilai talking about some of the things that are going on within ASEAN itself, and about some of the ways in which ASEAN is looking at R&D and innovation. And then switching to 3M, where we heard about the 15% culture. That'd be great. Boy, I'll have to talk to my boss, see if he'll give me 15% of my time off to think about innovation. I'd love that. And then we went to Corteva, which went and talked an awful lot about some of the ways in which Corteva is using an innovation ecosystem that prioritizes low risk, and wide applicability and speed of delivery of technology to farmers on time and on budget. So these are fantastic. And then Dr. Hull talking about Cambodia. I really like the diagram that Dr. Hull put up about the business systems, which is in the private sector, the education and R&D systems, which are in the government sector, and then at the bottom, the infrastructure, which has to be managed by both sectors. A very good way to kind of conceptualize the way in which innovation works, or hopefully works, in Cambodia. And Nilibon's presentation was excellent. A number of these innovation districts, which are going to be connected in the innovation corridor, and tying each one together with the very same support tools of vision, activities, communication. Wow, we just have had so much information today. I really am looking forward to the discussion today. Now, we already have at least one question here, which I would like to get to right off the bat. And this question is from Pakaj Sarma. And I think that Chung Tan is going to answer it. But the question is, says, exciting presentation by 3M, thanks. I'm wondering if you can share some more examples on science for circular beyond what is shown on Changi Airport, and if there are such innovative examples helping agriculture. So Chung Tan, you want to take a stab at that?
Sure. Thanks for the question. 3M is a very diverse company, and we have more than 55,000 products globally. Especially on the agriculture, we are serving upstreams all the way to downstreams. And what I can think of right now for the upstreams is some products like protecting the safety of the workers, especially the farmers. The respirator they use, especially for workers, you need to handle chemicals and so on. So these are some products 3M have a diverse respirator range for different applications. So that's what I can think of. And on the downstream, on the food safety supply chain, 3M also provide a food safety solutions on checking on the product safety before you ship from one location to another, ensure the product the food is safe to consume by the consumer. So we do have a range of product to offer to the agriculture and food industry. I hope I answered that question. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. I'm going to try one question that I would like to ask, which I think we can kind of go around the table and get each one of you to give an answer here, and that is that we're all talking about developing innovation hubs in the region. Maybe we could go around the table and say, what are some of the challenges that you find in developing these innovation hubs? And let me first go to our two government panelists. First go to Dr. Ho and then Nilubon. So let's start with Dr. Ho.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big question, to discuss about what a challenge to have innovation hub in the region. I think it's not different from what I catch the presentation of Dr. Mitra on why Singapore is a hub for particular on agricultural products. I think if you think macro level, it's definitely trading behind innovation, and second is of course trading is a challenge. I think it's not that an easy task for driving innovation. I think you do business innovation. The word innovation itself is product, is the market. So the challenge is market here, and collaboration is one of the challenge as well in the region when we talk about innovation hub. But this ecosystem, of course, leaving behind some subordinate challenges such as talents, such as regulatory framework, such as O&D projects. I mean high-end technology serving the need of private sector. These are the common challenges that I can say to have innovation hub in the region. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Nilubon, over to you.
Okay, for NIA, about the challenge of the connected region, about from maybe we guess the challenge is the how to know the potential of the region. We have to research first. We have to talk about the people in this area. How about this strongest point? How about your weakest points, and put them about the data, and invite the private sector and public sector to join us together. Is that we have to build from the small communication to grow up to be big small communication. Is a very hard point about the make to be innovation corridor that I present in the last presentation.
Okay, very good, very good. Why don't we Let's see. Corteva, Shumo, what do you think?
Thanks a lot, Ambassador Michael, for this question. So I'll talk about four things which are a challenge, and the number one would be access to talent. Number two is costs, direct costs and indirect costs in putting up an innovation ecosystem, which would mean both human capital, infrastructure, government regulations, which is IP protection, labor laws, tax system, all of that. And for us, since we are in a very regulated environment, a lot of the ASEAN countries are very restrictive when they register a new product. Several ASEAN countries will not register a new product for use unless an OECD country registers it first or some other country registers first. So if the governments are more open to looking at newer technology based on, as I said, reduced risk of green chemistry, then it'll be easier for us to expand the uses and put innovation hubs in ASEAN.
Okay. Let's see, where did I missed one? I know I did. 3M, yes. Chung Tuk Tan, what do you think?
Right, thanks for the question, Ambassador Michael. In addition to Dr. Somo, what he mentioned, I think this all apply to my opinion as well. In addition to that, one of the areas is the intellectual property law.
Yeah.
That is very critical for commercial company who needs to spend a lot of money to invest, and they would like to ensure that these investments are protected. And the other area in my mind is the free trade agreement, not just general free trade agreement, but on the policies and standards. At this time, I think in the ASEAN, a lot of policies or standards are still vary from country to country. So for a product or solution developed in one country, the standard may not apply to another ASEAN country. So if we can standardize it, that will make it more attractive, whether the innovation hub is in Cambodia, or Thailand, or Singapore, or Malaysia. It will make it much easier to for a commercial company to make a decision.
Yeah, I would think so. But I'm glad that you mentioned IPR, because that was the one thing that I thought was missing in other answers was the IPR system. What do you think about the IPR system around the region? How does it, is it adequate, do you think? I mean, a lot of people did not mention this as one of the challenges, but I think that, how strong is the protection? Is it going to work for your innovation development? What would you say? What would you say to Shomo?
I think it's a very important component because especially for R&D centric companies, it's critical to protect our investment. And as Cheng Tech mentioned, that it's really important for 3M, it is also important for Corteva, because we got to secure our R&D because we do spend a lot of money in R&D.
Yeah. Nilibon, how's IPR in Thailand?
Maybe I guess it's the same thing, just like Mr. Shomu tell us. In Thailand, maybe we have to spend money a lot about this one too.
Okay, Dr. Ho.
Thank you, Michael, again. Yeah, of course, I can't agree more on the importance of IP or in driving national innovation system or innovation hub. You see in the diagram I showed there as well, the IP system for national innovation system. And for Cambodia, we have IP law, and we need an enforcement, and we need an ecosystem of research. But we do acknowledge that research R&D limited in the country. And for that to enforce the investment, I think Ambassador Michael, you know already that Cambodia Senior Minister John Brassett signed IP agreement between Cambodia and the US, Cambodia and Singapore, Cambodia and other dialogue partners. So to boost protection of IP law, and mainly since we have limited R&D in the country, we encourage investment. But encourage investment, we have IP law, and of course we will protect what is the intellectual made by the investment. These are the ecosystem in Cambodia. Thank you.
I agree. You know, another big component, which we kind of didn't have a chance to talk about yet, is supposing that you have the innovation. How do you get it to market? In other words, where is the connection between the innovation ecosystem and the startup ecosystem? Is those two have to be connected, don't you think? Are they connected in Thailand? Nilabong, what would you say?
Okay, thank you for the question. From the innovation district, we have to give information for the startup, and we help them to inform the information, the business, and help them to give them a money for the first of their growth of their company, and it will be build the ecosystem from the startup or entrepreneur, and we have a connection with the private sector and the public sector to help them about the business that they have to develop.
Oh, so that the government gives incentives to the innovation sector to try to build up, like, so does the government sort of act like a venture capital?
So we NIA have to give them some information and give them some contact in the district. If we, such as the UT medical center, if we have the connection about the medical and the startup want to be building a business about the just like about the medicine, we have to give them a contact. It's easy than them to find by themselves.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Chungtek, what do you think from your point of view? How do you use these innovation centers to find good startups that you can either partner or buy?
Yeah, I think good question, Ambassador Michael. I must say that the EDB has done a very, very excellent job in this area. They have provide a platform for us to connect with the startup, and we do work with startup on a regular basis to explore what do they have, potentially for partnership, or maybe eventually if it's a complementary to our technology or in the market we want to drive, it may be acquired in the future. So that is a good platform. We are constantly doing that with the EDB support and the linkage they provide. So they do provide a list of startup in Singapore that we can leverage and we can explore. And then and then not only just a startup, we also have a reach to the public research center, like A-Star, the university's research center. And they provide a very good live test bed for us. So we can provide a test of a solution we develop here. They can be also applied to the other countries in ASEAN. So that is a quick way to validate our solutions together with the startup. And that is a very, very valuable platform. Yeah.
Wow, very good. Very good. Dr. Ho, one thing that you mentioned another buzzword there that I was trying to get to, and that is universities. Where do your universities fit in the innovation network that you showed? You showed the education part. Do you are there sort of programs that you have to so that you can produce innovation promoters like Nilabon in Cambodia too?
Thanks, Michael, again. Something related to a kind of new tool in the pillar that in our roadmap to do on science. One is education, we ensuring enough talents to meet demand of private sector from now until 2030. We have stated clearly by 2050, 50% of 50% of graduate, undergraduate enrollment is STEM sector, because now in Cambodia quite low for STEM side. So education, we encourage a university to be a research university, and of course some universities on the move, and government put, I think, in our based on our income, put a huge amount of money for R&D as well, and to promote STEM education to ensure enough supply to private sector. So all of this is, and even small, even R&D, government put a commitment by 2050 of what is amount of income and what is the 50% of GDP, particularly for R&D, must be from private. So all of these are stated in our agenda. So linking university, enough talent to supply private sector is what stated in the roadmap of education, and R&D as well as startup is also stated there. So for startup, we encourage university to be not just a research university, but an entrepreneurial university. And entrepreneurial curriculum are also, or not also, must be embedded in the curricula of the university. That's what the mission of each university, especially some top 5 universities, have been recruited to do the job.
Right. And Shlomo, does Corteva Agri-Systems actually work with a Cambodian university or some other university around the region to take advantage of some of the? I know that I know you were talking about a lot of the work you were doing with students, but it looked more like high school or elementary school students. Do you do some work with universities as well then?
Yes, definitely. So because our business is very local, though we have to really believe in global discovery, but localizing it, think locally. So because our farmers in each region are different, crops are different, cropping practices are different, regulatory systems are different, university system is different, right? So we do work very closely with the universities and the professors as we start to do our research on those, because we have to conduct research in every country, every farming situation to do it. Though the products might be discovered in the US or anywhere else, it has to be researched in the region. So we do work very closely with the universities, with the professors. And from an ag startup ecosystem, ag startup is fairly new compared to other businesses. So we would really need government support and the Ministry of Ag to create an ecosystem with companies like Corteva and startups. And the universities do, as you mentioned, universities are a good place to start because a lot of professors actually work for startups or give advice to startups, or students start startups, right? So that helps move the technology in the hands of startups.
Yeah, I could see that. You must go around knocking on garage doors to see what startups are trying to work in their garages, setting up new technologies. Like I think Microsoft started out that way in somebody's garage. So get out there and start looking at garages and see how they well, what's going on in them. One of the other things I was wondering, and in all of you have been looking around the region at the way in which innovation, various little innovation systems work. Besides the innovation system that we're talking about here in being Singapore, do you find some other innovation systems that have got certain best practices that you think that you have either adopted or that you have helped to start, or that you think are worth imitating going forward? I don't know, Chungtak, what do you think? Have you seen some particularly good practices around the region that you like?
I think, government play an important role. I think in the whole Asia region, is a lot of competition on the innovation hub among the countries in Japan, Korea, China, and then Southeast Asia. So I think, yes, we see some innovative way of doing like some special incentive given by the government, low tax and so on. So those are some of the models may be attractive to some of the companies may consider, especially for the local business. The local market is huge. That's even the bigger draw to the company to consider. We are coupled with the incentive.
Oh, yeah, that would be true. Dr. Hu, have you seen some particularly good practices that you want to take back and emulate?
Yes, thank you, Michael, for raising up the point. Cambodia, as you may see, we are in the emerging economy, and for some best practices, I think I hardly find the right one, but we are on the right policy to promote intermediary organizations who are working on promoting R&D, technological broker company. These are in our list to provide incentive in our agenda. And for your information, by end of the year, we will develop a champion sector for Cambodia. And this champion sector gonna be incentivized. Tax incentive, if you have a proper R&D, gonna be all of this what the policy to be formulated after the champion sector are identified within this few months.
Oh, great.
Shortly, I may share this with you.
Well, that certainly sounds like a great idea, and we're going to watch that. Well, next year, Cambodia, of course, is going to be the chair of ASEAN, so we'll be looking very carefully at some of the new innovative products and the new innovative policies that you put out. Nilabon, what do you think? Have you found any practices around the region that you particularly like?
The best practice in Thailand, I think the government is the main force in drive about the innovation growth by the provide and support. But in Thailand now there are still a lack of development in some area. So, but I think in the future, the new generation will be a part of for helping us for develop. About the growth of the country, by we have to put them about the information, about the knowledge, how to be a startup or entrepreneur or make a business about interested from the new age. I guess it will be the best practice for growth by from the children will be the grow up by the entrepreneur and the startup. Will be help us. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, we'll certainly be looking out for that one. You know, there was another one I recall in some of the presentations that we had from NRF in Singapore. Some of the things that they've talked about is the fact that particularly among MNCs, there is somewhat of a trust deficit in terms of the way in which MNCs approach innovation and approach some of the other universities and other innovation hubs around the region. And I'm wondering, in Singapore, they apparently they try to provide platforms for MNCs to sort of explain, you know, that no, we're not out to steal your technology. We're out, in fact, to do some maybe technology transfer or what have you. And I'm just wondering if you guys have looked at that, and do you feel that there is you need to earn the trust of some of the innovation communities within ASEAN and work with them in any special way? Shomo, what do you think?
I think it's a great question. We, especially in our space, we are highly regulated by regulatory agencies. You know, so I did share a couple of instances what Brazil and the US have done for newer chemistries, fast track registration process.
Right.
if the government could actually help us fast track that so that we could bring in new technologies and be able to then, the trust grows that because we want to bring in more technologies which are probably IP protected, right? When in that space, bring it to the growers in that region, in our region. If these regulatory agencies help use this fast tracking process, it'll help us. Also, if you look at technology adoption, say, for example, drones, this is probably coming up in China really fast. Right? So a lot of these are growing out of China and now being adopted across ASEAN countries. I'll give an example of Malaysia. Malaysia has already come up with a regulatory process that will give a label for a drone specific application. Right? Similarly, I think Vietnam is looking at it, Indonesia is looking at it. So if countries start to be more agile and give us a little bit more freedom on these regulatory licenses basically to operate, that will probably help build the trust and bring new technologies to the farmers across ASEAN.
Well, in some ways, it's chicken or egg because they'll say, "Well, we don't trust them. That's why we're not being more open." So, and I know particularly in Singapore, we've heard from some of our aerospace companies that drones are particularly difficult in Singapore. So I think we're going to keep working on that. Chung Tak, what do you think?
Yeah, I think in the IP space is always evolving, especially for new technology. So I think governments play or the respective agency play a very important role to update and catch up with the technology on the IP protection, right? In Singapore, what we do usually when we partner with the partners to develop or co-develop something, we usually have a NDA signed, non-disclosure agreement. That trust has to be earned. I think we believe that a company who are willing to sign the NDA, they will honor the intellectual property rights, and we have to observe. Of course, we have to be careful on what we share. If it's not necessary to share it, we don't share it. But if it's required for a partnership to advance, co-develop solutions, that we have to go through the legals and get the NDA signed and protected.
How about from the government side? Nilabong, what do you think?
Okay, I think from the government side, maybe they have make about the legal of the IP first. But in Thailand, I have to share with you guys, we have not have a strong get about the legal about the IP anymore. So I have maybe in the future, government have to improve about the about this one to make it stronger. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Dr. Ho?
Thanks again for raising the question. Actually, it's in our agenda of discussing from time to time as well. Adoption technology, nothing. The trend is there. You cannot say no, but how to process it in our control. You said it is careful. I think for government, even more careful for the situation of adopting technology. No way not to adopt, but how to adopt, the process to adopt is important. Because technology, one technology, of course, I don't talk about IP, all of this is needed, but adopting those, technology disruption is quite critical now, the situation there. You see, one come, many local business die or disrupt the existing supply chain. All of this must be based on evidence before decision. And all of this must be stated clearly in the policy. And there must be having enough competent team to assess all of this. In general, I would like to say that we are more than happy to endorse or to absorb the technologies in our STI policy as well, that we have to adopt technology as fast as possible for the manufacturing sector in the country. Next step at our level, when we see the fast move of technology, which one go to disrupt the other, is something that I think not only Cambodia, I think all AMS may be find hard time to be more careful all of this issue as well. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Well, you know, this has been really great. It's clear that there is a burning desire on the part of governments around the region to attract innovation and to promote innovation and to partner with the private sector in trying to promote innovation. And from the private sector side, it's clear that there is a need, in fact, to partner with local companies and with local talent to understand exactly how to adapt and thrive within that local ecosystem. So if we look around the region now, I think we probably, as I said in the beginning, my opening remarks, that Singapore has consistently been kind of up at the top of the global innovation index. As you look around the region, who would you say would be the next, after Singapore, who would be the next top 2 or 3 innovators around the region that we all need to keep our eyes on, and maybe when the vaccines get better distributed, we can go and visit them. So which 2 or 3 countries would you guys pick as your favorites for future global innovative index champions? Chung Tex, sorry.
Well, my guess is probably based on what
I mean,
observed.
besides Cambodia and Thailand, you don't have to. Cambodia and Thailand will take out of the equation here.
Yeah, well, from my observation is based on the last 5 years of the development on the ecosystem and regulation. I would think that Vietnam will be on the list, and probably followed by Indonesia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Very interesting. Jomo, what do you think?
So for us, because we serve the farmers in each of the countries, we have to think of each of the countries as where our products will be used. And I'll go back to those 4 things. If we have access to talent, costs are manageable, innovation, the ecosystem as well as the government regulations, I think we could go to any of the countries in ASEAN. We could make any of the countries ASEAN as an innovation hub, because our farmers are in each of the countries, and we're going to serve the needs of the farmers in each of the countries.
That's true. It is probably one of the biggest sectors in most of the economies around here. Nilamon, what do you think? Since we're not talking about Thailand or Cambodia.
Okay, for me, I believe that in the future we will be able to grow by a leaf and the bound with the technology. Now in my country, we have the innovation corridor. In the future, maybe we have the corridor between the country. Maybe Thailand go to Cambodia, go to Laos, go to Myanmar. Maybe it's a good thing, I guess. So maybe about the technology now, I guess in the maybe such as in a COVID situation, we have never been about the technology before. We have never known a telemedical or anything, but we have faced with the situation that we have to fight. So and the people in our country, they can develop themselves to get it. So I think it's not hard to be able to connect by the country, I guess.
Very good. So we've got 1 vote for the Mekong Coalition, which is going to be started. Very good. I like that. Dr. Hull.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for asking this good question. No, it's a question. It's not democracy, right?
Right.
It's hardly among 5 of us, 4 of us, I think. Without as engineer, without number, if you do innovation index, you may look at criteria. I hardly say which country, but I do agree that Tech Tan and Dr. Sumo, make sense. So again, thank you.
Understood. We got it. Okay. Well, listen, that is, I want to thank you all for just a fantastic session this morning. It's been just great. And I know that, I hope that we've got Satvinder Singh out in the audience. And we're going to be doing sort of closing remarks here. And I would love to, let's see, we haven't,
Esther,
do
good
we
morning.
have, yeah, yes. Well, I wanted to, no, that's okay. I wanted to get some of Satvinder's views on this morning's discussion, and what do you think about some of the views that we heard today?
Sure. Basda, thank you for that. I, of course, first of all, thank you for inviting me to join. And I actually took the privilege of coming in. I was not able to join earlier, but I came in the most important part where we actually had the conversations with all of your panelists. And I think all of us have taken very good ideas from each one of them. Clearly, there's a lot to learn from all of us within the region, but I think there's also quite a lot to learn from outside. I think this is where we truly value the relationship with US-ABC and your network to bring some of the best ideas of in terms of how do we make each of our ASEAN member states innovatively suitable, competitive and suitable. And I can say there are some very practical learnings from all of us. Clearly, I do hear that on the regulatory side, we need to be accommodative. Each of the AMSs probably want to look closer in terms of what can be done in order to germinate ideas, and how do you make it easier for the innovators of ideas to then have the comfort of knowing that ideas are protected, and the cost of protection is also not formidable, and not just in the country where you're operating, but also when you're operating in the region. I think there's quite a lot of work that, I know we've touched on that topic, but there's quite a lot of work today in the Secretariat to support the protection of intellectual property. And I think this is a space where, while we are not at the level where I say we have done, but I definitely think lots of improvement have been made in the last 1 decade for us to move in that journey collectively. Obviously, some ASEAN member states have done better. They have corrected some of these issues a lot quicker. But I believe that all of us can do more in supporting the rest. That's in the area of protection. The other area that I noticed, it's about where I find that we want to spend a bit more time is truly in the ability for attraction of innovation. Today, I believe that we are not the only region in the world looking for innovation. Everybody out there is vying for that, including United States of America.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
China. So we are not alone in this journey. So I think we all in the ASEAN need to get truly practical about this issue. If we are not going to make any significant change to the way in which we are able to attract founders, innovators, people with capital to come in and out of our borders, we are not going to get that innovation sitting in our hubs. Let's be practical. Forget about money. If you can't even physically accommodate easily the founders and innovators of ideas to come to your borders, then you're not going to be an innovation hub. Okay. And if all of us are naive enough to think that innovation is sufficient for us to seek innovation within our borders, then I think they're absolutely naive. If you look at some of the biggest hubs in the world, I mean, look at Singapore's case. I think Singapore has done well. They learned how San Francisco has become a huge hub about 3 decades ago, where we all know that the brain power that sits in San Francisco is not just American, it's a global brain power.
That's for sure.
San Francisco. And we all can feel, you walk down the streets of San Francisco, you can see it. I think the same thing needs to be emulated to all of us. I think it's not just Singapore that's gotten it right. Singapore is doing it that way. I think Malaysia has also gotten it right. But I think the rest of us in the ASEAN can do a lot more in terms of making it easier for innovators of startups, innovators of new ideas, even innovators of significant companies to be able to then come to our borders and have the comfort of being able to operate and bring those ideas to our shores. And I must say, Ambassador, where I think this is where the movement of people, some of the regulations on that, we probably have to address them more aggressively. And when we are talking about digital transformation, and today we are talking about even the circular economy and sustainability, now these are the areas where a huge amount of innovation is going to be making real impact to our economies. I mean, I'm Dr. Mitra, it was wonderful to hear the work that your organization is doing in the region. We love to see more of that. You know, we are very appreciative of what Corteva is doing. But imagine if you are going to want to look into circular sustainability areas, for sure, there's still a lot of work to be done on our side in making sure that there's a clear embracement of ideas, not only within our countries, but not only regionally, but global acceptance of innovators into our borders. To me, that was one of the big themes I wanted to contribute to the conversation just now with all of you. And well, I also feel that there's one more big area that I wanted to sort of put on the table. And I would love to hear, I mean, let's make it informal. I'd love to hear ideas from the panelists.
Sure.
The other big area I thought was really, I think while our focus is in innovation is always on looking at the attraction of PhDs and building of PhDs, building of scientific organizations. But to me, I'm looking at innovation in a much more practical way. Innovation begins from bottom up. And if we want to really make our private sector innovative, I think this is where there is a very large role that the private sector needs to also play with us, which is we need to upskill and reskill even our white workforce in the ASEAN, especially in the journey that it's ahead, digital transformation, and also the sustainability areas that we want our private sector to move into. You know, a lot of the practical implementation of innovation definitely will require some reskilling of our white-collar workforce. And I think this is an area definitely, Ambassador, we will look forward to some of the partners like your US agencies. It is going to be a priority area for us this year to want to work out programs targeted towards the reskilling of the white-collar workers. Again, the target is to look at the decision makers in corporations and companies who are sitting down there working out, wanting to look at how do I transform and innovate and adapt to the change that's coming, and how do I bring my fellow employees forward. Now, that reskilling is what we are hoping to get attention on in the next coming year. And we hope the US and its agencies, I know this is, it's quite a relevant topic that you have also embraced as part of your cooperation with ASEAN. We would love to focus on how do we make it like the bottom-up reskill, you know? And I think that's the part where private sector has a much larger role to play than the government. Yeah, so because that definitely involves a co-investment of reskilling your employees. Because sometimes I feel today, if you are going to think that you're going to find another, it's easy for you to go and find somebody out there who's going to come and do your job outside. I think that's where it's false, because digital transformative kind of skills today are so expensive, you know, and everybody's chasing after the same talent pool. That is why it's important internally to build up some of the reskilling of your teams and your people, so that the innovation transformation journeys will continue, and you will also be able to reap the benefits of all the innovation that's coming out, all the change that you'll see coming out, and be able to adapt your cooperations towards that. So I just wanted to leave these two ideas on the table for conversation. Maybe if I can hand over back to you, Ambassador. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Boy, I'm sorry I didn't call on you earlier. we could have thrown that into the mix and had some responses from folks. But we are kind of out of time here. So, but what the heck, maybe we'll try it anyway. What do you guys think about reskilling? Let's go around the table And how would you respond to friend Satvinder's ideas on reskilling? Let's start with you, Dr. Mitra.
I think it's a great idea because this is one of our initiatives is to reskill and also educate the farmers, right? So this is perfect. This is perfect for us. I think it's a great opportunity for us to work.
Good. Well, we'll look forward to the agriculture reskilling project from Corteva. Cheng Tak.
Well, thanks. I think reskilling is a must you must do within the corporation. I think 3M has been promoting this through our culture of collaboration. So we have a platform to share information and encourage employees who wants to take up the new skills. We know the top management are really supporting that, and then even with a hands-on or classroom training. So we will provide a platform for employees to pursue that. I think this is something that we are high on our agenda.
Nilabon, what do you think?
We think about reskilling is a must, and NIA we try to support the startup and entrepreneur in our district. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Ho, we started out this panel section with you, and why don't we finish it up by giving you the last word on responding to Satvinder.
Thanks again. Yeah, I can't agree more on the reskilling. But you know, when we start to let go to the history, industrial revolution shaped manufacturing and raw material production. All of them have been with us till now. Now, industrial 4.0 and digital transformation, reskilling is important for on-the-job worker, but also for long-term training to. For our future human resources is important as well from education side. I think this is very important. Thank you, Michael.
Well, don't thank me. Thanks, Satvinder. Obviously, you struck a welcome chord there, my friend.
Ambassador, can I also, on behalf of all of us in the ASEAN fraternity, thank Kosti and also yourselves from the US-ABC for doing this innovation series. I think it's an extremely valuable way. I think this is a start. So going from what we have achieved today morning, I want to congratulate each one of the panelists for doing a fine sharing. And I think you can see the issues are practical and raw. And we all definitely, there's a lot to learn from each other. And this is really a meaningful engagement. So I want to congratulate all of you. And of course, Kosti and US-ABC for doing this. And we hope to see more interesting topics down the road. And I was also wondering, Ambassador, if I could invite you all, if Kosti can also be part of, we are going to do a workshop in November to try to understand how do we manage some of the shipping and logistics sector disruption challenges. Are there technological innovative ideas that we could put on the table? So definitely want US-ABC to be part of that in November. So hope to see all that.
All right, definitely. We will look forward to the logistics meeting in November, and I'm sure that our panelists all would be delighted to come. I don't know how the agriculture part. Well, agriculture, of course, that's a critical part. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I too want to add my thanks to that of Satvinder for our panelists today. You guys have done a great job, and it's really been fun talking with you and hearing all of your great ideas. And I think that we definitely are trying to look forward to more ways in which the US-ASEAN Business Council and our members in particular can form closer relationships with the innovation ecosystems throughout ASEAN and mutually benefit from exchanges of ideas, exchanges of views. And one of the other things that we did touch upon, but not in much detail, and that is the standards, and trying to make sure that we have a set of standards that benefit everybody in the region, and we don't end up with 10 different standards for 10 different types of innovation. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. So at the same time that we're developing these innovations, let's also not forget about innovating on standards and doing that together as well. So once again, I want to thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope I can look forward to seeing you all again at another panel, another day in the future. And with that, let me turn it back over to our moderator, our master of ceremonies, to close us out today. So,
Thank
Norika,
you very
over
much,
to you.
Ambassador Mike. I would like to request to open your cameras for the quick photo op.
That's right.
Anga, are we ready?
You reminded
I hope
us
this
we're back in
opportunity
ASEAN here. That's right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for the fruitful and insightful dialogue with you all. And thank you to our audiences for attending this event. We hope to see you all again in our next segment of the innovation series next month. That's going to be a lab visit next month. Have a great day to all of you. Thank you,
Great.
Ambassador Mike.
So from beautiful downtown Tanjong Pagar, I wish you all having a great day, because it's a great day here in Singapore too. Bye-bye. Good luck. We'll see you next month.